What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video I thought I would explain how to calculate macros. Now if you don't know, macros or macronutrients are the three main building blocks of nutrition. They include protein, fat, and carbohydrates. There are also other nutrients called micronutrients, which are things like vitamins and minerals that are all very important to a healthy nutrition plan. But for right now, I'm just going to teach you how to calculate macros. To get micronutrients, just make sure that you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, and you should be fine. Tracking macros is essentially a more detailed way of tracking calories. It just allows you to break the calories you're eating up into nutrients so that you can make sure your nutrition is well balanced. Tracking macros is not the only method for losing weight or building muscle, but at least for me personally, it's been the way that's worked the best. It allows me to have some freedom and some flexibility with what I eat that other methods, other diets don't always allow you to have. However, the most important thing for the method you choose for your nutrition is that you enjoy it and it's sustainable. If you don't enjoy it and it's not sustainable, you're not going to stick to it for very long, which means that even though you might have some success with it initially and either lose weight or build muscle, whatever your goal is, eventually you're going to fall off because it's just not enjoyable. I also don't personally like the word diet because being on a diet implies that you're going to be off of the diet at some point. And what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to go off of the diet and then lose all of the progress you've made? So for me, I just like tracking macros better than any other approach that I've tried. But if something else works for you, then by all means, go with it. So with that all being said, I'm going to get into how to calculate macros. The first thing that you need to know is how many calories a gram of each macro is worth. So 1 gram of protein is worth 4 calories, 1 gram of fat is worth 9 calories, and 1 gram of carbs or carbohydrates is worth 4 calories, just like protein. So fat is by far the highest in calories. Okay, now, there's a few formulas that you need to use to calculate your macros. None of them are very hard. I can put them up on the screen as I talk about them right now. So the first formula you need to know is how to calculate your maintenance calories. So to do that, you take your body weight and you multiply it by 14 to 16. To figure out what number in that range you should use, you need to figure out how active you are. How active is your life? Not just working out, but your everyday lifestyle. Is your job active? Are you on your feet a lot? Or do you sit at a desk most of the day on a computer or something? And be honest with yourself, because this is really going to affect the entire process of calculating your macros. So if you have a desk job and you don't really move around very much during the day except for your workouts, go closer to the 14 side of the range, maybe 14.5 or something. And if you're extremely active, always on your feet, moving around, doing stuff on top of your workouts, go closer to 16. But really, to be honest, if your goal is fat loss, I'd always aim closer to the 14 side of the range rather than 16. Now if your goal is to build muscle, then I would probably go closer to the 16 side of the range. And this approach of tracking macros can be used whether your goal is fat loss, muscle building, or just maintenance, maintaining your current physique. Once you've found your maintenance calories, if your goal is fat loss, you're going to subtract calories from your maintenance calories. And if your goal is muscle building, then you're going to add calories to your maintenance. There's all kinds of information out there and recommendations on how much to decrease or increase your calories. Some people say 300, some people say 500, some people say 600. Honestly, I recommend somewhere in the middle, starting around 400 calories in either direction. So if you're trying to lose fat, cut 400 calories from your maintenance calories. And if you're trying to build muscle, add 400 calories and go from there. It's much better to make the smallest adjustments possible while still making progress so that you have more room to make more adjustments down the road as your fat loss either slows down or your muscle building slows down. If you just go straight into cutting your calories in half or adding 1,000 calories to your maintenance calories, your progress is going to slow down eventually, and then you don't have a lot of room to make more adjustments. So once you've found your maintenance calories, the next thing you want to do is find the amount of protein you should eat in a day. Now there's all kinds of studies and advice out there about how much protein people should eat in a day. And to find a rough estimate of how much protein you should really eat in a day, you want to take your body weight again and multiply it by a range of 0.75 to 1.25. If your goal is fat loss and you have a lot of fat to lose, start with your protein somewhere around the 0.75 side of that range, and then as you lose more fat and you get leaner, you increase your protein over time. Now, if you're someone who is fairly healthy, maybe around 20% body fat or something, then you should go with somewhere around 1 in that range. So you want to multiply your body weight times 1. Really, anything much above 1 should really be reserved for elite level bodybuilders, physique competitors, people that have very low levels of body fat, like under 10%. So unless you're competing in a physique competition or something, really you don't want to be going too much above 1 for your protein. So 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Protein is very important for building and maintaining muscle. So if you're in a fat loss process, you want to maintain as much muscle as you can. So getting adequate amounts of protein is extremely important, but you don't need to stress too much about it and go overboard with the amount of protein you eat. Next up, you want to calculate your fat. So to calculate your fat, you take your body weight again and multiply it by a range of 0.3 to 0.4. Where you fall in that range depends on your preferences of food. Do you prefer fattier foods over foods that are higher in carbs, like butter, cheese, burgers, fatty meat, or do you prefer foods that are higher in carbs over those, like pasta, rice, that sort of stuff? If you like fattier foods, then you want to go closer to the 0.4 side of the range, and if you prefer carbs, go somewhere around 0.3. If you aren't sure, or you don't really have a preference, or you want to figure it out as you go, start somewhere around 0.35, and you can always adjust your macros according to your preferences once you've figured out what you like. Lastly, what you're going to do is you're going to take the number you got for protein and you're going to multiply it by 4, because 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So you're going to figure out how many calories worth of protein you're eating. And next you're going to take the fat that you found and multiply that by 9 to find the calories of fat that you're going to be eating. And then you're going to add those two numbers together and you're going to subtract them from your goal calories. Once you've done that, you're going to take the remaining calories that you have and you're going to divide it by 4 to find the grams of carbs that you get in a day. I'm going to give a quick example of how to apply these formulas to an actual body weight. So I'm going to use someone who weighs 194 pounds currently and wants to lose about 10 pounds. I'll put these calculations on the screen while I talk about them, but their maintenance calories would be 2,850 and their goal calories are going to be somewhere around 2,450. That means that they're going to have 185 grams of protein, 60 grams of fat, and 290 grams of carbs. Now the carbs are a little bit high, to be honest. I'd probably put them somewhere around 250. That's just from experience and personal preference. But if you're calculating your macros, I would highly recommend starting with whatever numbers you get and then making adjustments accordingly based on the progress that you're making, or maybe you're not making progress and then you do need to make some adjustments. So now that you know how to calculate your macros, I'm going to show you how to track them. There's several apps out there that you can get for your phone to track your macros. The one that I personally used is called MyFitnessPal, and it's widely regarded as the best one out there. But if there's a different app that you'd rather use, of course you can use that. So I'm going to record my screen on my phone here and I'm going to show you guys what MyFitnessPal looks like and how it works and what you do to track macros. So let's get into that. Okay, so as you can see, I have MyFitnessPal pulled up and it's showing the macros that I have set for myself. I don't actually track macros right now anyway. I'm more estimating what I eat, and so far it's working. But these are just some macros that I set a while ago. You can see 206 grams of carbs, 63 grams of fat, and 216 grams of protein. That all adds up to 2,253 calories. But this app is very easy to use. There's a few different ways that you can track food. One is you can do it by meal, so you can see that it has breakfast here, so I would go to add food, and then you can either search for a food. So let's say I want to look up egg whites. You type in egg whites and it comes up like this, and then you can select how much you're having, so your serving size, and as you adjust it, as you can see, let's say I want, I don't know, just random number, 20 servings. It shows you the amount of macros in it. So 20 servings of egg whites would have 100 grams of protein. Obviously, you don't eat that many egg whites, that's just an example. Another way that you can add food in MyFitnessPal is you go back here, go back, you want to add food to breakfast, you can scan a barcode. So as you can see, I'll hit scan barcode, and then if you had a food with a barcode, you'd pull it up, put it in front of the screen, scan the barcode, and it would pull it up. You can also add recipes. So if you have a meal that you make yourself often, you can add all the ingredients up in MyFitnessPal once and then add it to your recipes, and you can go back and track that recipe next time you eat it, and it'll know how many macros are in it. You can also add meals, so if there's a common combination of foods that you have, let's say for breakfast, oftentimes you have egg whites and toast or something. You can add those two up in a meal, and then you don't have to track each one individually every time you go to track it. You can just go to meals and track your breakfast meal, or whatever you want to call it. So that's how you calculate and track macros. It might seem complicated or overwhelming, but it's really not. You just take those formulas, you plug your body weight in, you calculate your macros, your calories, and then you just track them in MyFitnessPal. And MyFitnessPal is actually, like I just showed you, quite easy to use, so it's really not that bad at all. It does get a little bit tedious tracking everything that you eat, but like I said, I'm personally not even tracking. I tracked for a long time, and I got the hang of it, and I kind of got an idea of how many macros were in different foods. And I tend to eat a lot of the same foods anyway, so now I can just estimate, and once my fat loss slows down or stops, then I'll make adjustments, and eventually I'll start tracking macros again to make the final progress. But there you go, that's how you track and calculate macros. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything I covered in the video, just let me know in the comments down below, and I will respond to you. Also, if you want to get in touch with me somewhere else, all of my social medias are going to be linked in the description. So if you want to go over there and message me or follow me, I'd appreciate that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.